DreAllDay.com.
You're now tuned into the show where you learn the discipline to show up day after day, to do the work, the confidence to put yourself out there boldly and authentically, and the mental toughness to continue showing up, doing the work, putting yourself out there, even when the success you've expected to achieve has yet to be achieved. And on top of all this, you get a huge dose of personal initiative. That is the go-getter energy that moves any one of us, including yourself, to go and make things happen instead of waiting for things to happen. And then we put all this together into a series of frameworks, approaches, insights, strategies, and techniques underneath the umbrella of one unifying philosophy that is called Work on Your Game. My name is Dre Baldwin, also known as Dre All Day, and welcome to the show. And today's topic is happiness is not the goal. Before we get into this, I remind you all two things. First of all, my daily motivation, Monday motivation message is guaranteed to have you focused, sharp, and on point to start your day or your week, respectively. Once we start sending those messages out again, you'll be getting them straight to your phone. All you got to do is text me and join my text community for free. My number is 305-384-6894. Is down below in the description. Secondly, Work on Your Game University. That is for people who want to perform at your highest level, do so consistently, and generate more results in your business and in your life. Our program at the university is based around the 4 pillars of mindset, strategy, systems, and accountability. Again, for getting your mindset bulletproof, having a clear strategy as to what you're going to do, how you're going to do it, a system so that you can repeat the winning and successful actions over and over again, the same way every time, and making sure you're being held accountable to perform the way that you're supposed to. All high-level performers want to be held accountable. So if that sounds like you, go to workonyourgameuniversity.com. The link is down below in the description. Get into the topic today, which is happiness is not the goal. I'm making this episode specifically for those of you who are performance and results driven, and it is especially targeted towards the male listeners of this audience, specifically towards males, because males, too many of you have been listening to too many women, whether you're listening to the woman you're in a relationship with, you're listening to women who maybe they have your ear on in the media, whether it's some podcast you listen to or some social media person. Maybe it's your mom, and maybe your dad doesn't have as much influence on you in your life, or whoever it is. Excuse me. I found too many men these days are listening to too many women. And because you're listening to women too often, you are starting to think like them. And you are starting to think as if your situation is supposed to parallel that of a female. You are not a female. Too many of you have been listening to women and starting to think, act, and talk like them, specifically in this goal and pursuit of happiness. It is not a man's job to be happy. That is not your goal, to be happy. I'm not saying happiness can't happen. I'm not saying you can't be a happy individual. I think generally, in a general sense, am I happy? Yes, I am. But at the same time, that's not my goal. I don't wake up every day and say, what can I do to be happy? I've never asked myself that question. So today I plan to talk some sense into you males and remind you of what the mission is. Point number one. Topic once again today is happiness is not the goal. Number one, too many people these days focus on happiness, which is often linked with comfort and ease of action. That's often what people mean when they say happy. Someone says they want to be happy, that means they want things to be comfortable and they want their actions to come easily to them. They want to do things that come easily to them. That is how most people are looking at the concept of happiness. If you have made this link, and at the same time you're an ambitious person who wants to be a consistent high performer, perish the thought, because you have to pick one. You cannot have both of these at the same time. You cannot be an ambitious person with high performance results and high performance demands on you, and at the same time want comfort and ease of action. You have to pick one. You can't do all of these at the same time. All of them cannot happen all at once. So which one do you want? You want to be a high level performer, because to perform at a high level, you got to have high demands on yourself, and to have ease of comfort and for things to come to you just with ease of action, then you can't have both. Again, they are a kind of oil and water. They don't mix. So pick which one do you want. These do not go together. You're going to be a high level performer, and you are trading. If you want to be a high level performer, that means there will be high level demands on you, which means you must trade happiness, ease, and comfort in exchange for having that. Remember what I told you, and I've told you many times, that there are no perfect scenarios in life. There are only trade-offs. The trade-off of the position that you have by being chosen by your higher being to be a male is that your job is to produce and to perform. That is in big picture, that is the goal of the man, is to produce and to perform. I'm not saying there are other things that you can do. I'm saying your big picture job is to produce and to perform. The woman's overall job is to nurture and to help reproduce. Women give life. All right? Men cannot carry a baby and cannot give birth. So that is the woman's domain, and is also the woman's domain to nurture. It's not that a man cannot be nurturing, but the man definitely cannot give birth. And it's not that a woman cannot produce and perform. That is the man's role. That's your job. And the trade-off of having to be a producer and a performer is that you're going to have demands on you. And those demands need to be met. And if you want to get happiness, get your happiness through meeting the demands. If you want to be happy, do it that way. But just aiming to be happy the same way that a woman aims to be happy, you're not a woman. So you can't play that role. You can't play the game of a woman if you're not one. So the trade-off of being a super high performer is that things will not be comfortable or easy or relaxing for you. This is something you should accept and take on this mission and be happy that you have this mission. At this point, you have to decide what do you want, because you cannot have all of these at the same time, as I just said. Maybe you will be able to relax and be at your leisure later in life, maybe after retirement, after your ambitions have been achieved, if that's what you want to do. You cannot achieve ambitions while being comfortable. You cannot achieve ambitions while being comfortable. It doesn't matter what the ambitions are. Ambition means you want to achieve things that usually take a lot of effort, courage, and hard work. You can't do that while being comfortable the whole time. That's impossible. The two concepts don't even go together. So when you think about it this way, you understand that the two of them don't make sense together. And the highest level performance, or highest level performers who you know of, and some of them, and whether you know of them or you know them personally, ask them if you know anyone. Notice that they're often stressed, not stressed in a way that it ages them. Some of it does, but some of them it does. When I say stress, what I mean is they have a lot of demands on themselves and they have to push themselves in order to meet those demands. That's what I mean when I say stress. They're often fatigued because they're doing a lot of work. They have many things that they need to deal with, not only their own stuff, but also for other people, because that is their role. And they have many people depending on them to solve problems that those people otherwise could not or would not solve themselves. That is the role of the high performer. You're a high performer, you have all of this stuff on your shoulders. And men have broad, thick shoulders compared to women. And I mean this literally, this is not a metaphor. Men have broad, thick shoulders to handle the weight of things. Women have wide, curved hips to handle the baby. All right, that's why women have the hips, men have the shoulders. So which one are you? Are you a man or a woman? And the penalty of leadership is that you had to deal with all of this stuff. All right, this is the penalty of being in a leadership position. And the man was created by God to be in a leadership position, in case, again, any of you were wondering. It is, the genders are not equal. The man was created to be in a leadership position. The woman was created to be a helpmate to the man. Now, I didn't make that up. I'm just giving you the news, in case any of you didn't know. So the question is, are you, males, willing to give up some of this quote-unquote happiness in exchange for achieving at a super high level? Because, again, you do have to pick one. You cannot have both of these at the same time. And if you want to be in the middle and balance, quote-unquote, them, then what you're asking for is mediocrity. Let's call it what it is. Point number 2. Today's topic, once again, is happiness is not the goal. Number 2, this is a performance and results-based business that we're in called life. That's what this is, performance and results-based. This is not a happiness and good feelings-based business. And again, I want to make clear that I'm talking to the high-level performers and those of you who are highly ambitious. That's who I'm talking to here. The highly ambitious people and the high-level performers. So any of you who does not identify as that, this message is not for you. You're welcome to listen, but I'm not talking directly to you. So if you want to be happy and feel good all the time, it is not wrong of you to want that. All right? I'm not telling you that you're wrong for thinking that way. I just want you to understand that you will never be able to compete with the highest level performers out there if your aim is to be happy and feel good. Because you've chosen a life of ease and contentment as opposed to a life of high performance. Again, they don't mix. High performance does not mean ease and contentment. It means maybe it looks easy and you'll be content because of all that you've achieved when the job is done. But for the most part, you will not be, it's not easy and you won't be content because you're always pushing yourself. That's what a high performer is doing. They don't get content because as soon as they finish one thing, they get to the next thing. I had a member of our university once. I remember the first time I was talking to him, he said, as soon as I hit one goal, I set the next one. All right, that's the mindset of a high level performer. Do you want to be that? This is an open question. You can answer however you want. There's no wrong answer. Just pick one. So you cannot, and also I want to make sure I'm adding this in, you cannot have these both together. The world that we operate in over here, if you are engaged in what work on your game is about, is a world of high level performance, consistency of performance, and producing consistent results. That's the world that we're in. Even if you're not achieving that right now, you are striving to do so, which means you have to work in order to get there if you're not there. And if you are there, you got to work to maintain it. So either way, you're working. Any questions on this? And understand, this is not easy. It is often not fun. It is damn sure not relaxing. And frankly, most people should stay away from this world because it ain't for everybody. I try to make clear as often as I can that the stuff that I talk about here is not for everybody. I'm not aiming for this to be for everybody. I'm aiming for it to be for the right people. And the right people is not most people. This is not for everyone. Most people want to be comfortable. Most of you want to be at your ease. Not most of you, most humans, period, want to be at their ease in every aspect of life. You want to be at your ease mentally. You never want to have any mental stress on you. You don't want to have any physical challenges. You don't have any spiritual challenges, relational challenges, financial challenges, or any other challenge. You just want everything to just be calm, easy, and everything in moderation. I remember I was talking to this guy who I didn't really know. I knew I was having brunch once with a guy and a girl. I knew the girl more than I knew the guy. And this girl was dating this new guy. I had never met him before. She's dating this new guy, and I'm just talking, getting to know him. And he talks about, everything in moderation, everything in moderation. That's mediocre / loser talk, trying to do everything in moderation. High level performance is the opposite of moderation. It's not moderate performance, it's high level performance. That's why it's called high performance. You're trying to do everything in moderation, you're not the person I'm talking to. That guy, I doubt he listens to this show. The highest levels of performance and achievement, folks, require you to give up all of that ease that maybe you've been aiming for, looking for, or maybe right now you're living in. You got to give that up if you want to be a high level performer. It's not supposed to be easy. That's the point. I remember making a video maybe probably about 2009, maybe 2010. And I was talking to basketball players at this point, and I was explaining to them, because a lot of players would ask me about just putting in work, working on their games and making themselves better. And I just gave them a framework that they could use to gauge whether they were putting in enough of the right work on their game or not. And I said to the players, the same thing I'll say to you all right now, is that when you're doing the work that you do to make yourself better, when you look around, if you notice that everybody else around you has they're putting in the same amount of time as you, and they're doing similar stuff to you, and the work that you're putting in is pretty similar to the work that everybody else is putting in and is pretty parallel, then you're not going to be able to separate yourself because you're doing the same work as everyone else. You have to figure out ways that you can, and I'm telling you what they are right now. You have to figure out ways in which you're going above and beyond what the average person is doing. When I was playing basketball, I wanted to make sure that my effort and the time that I was putting in on the court, and also the stuff that I was doing in that time, was above and beyond what everybody else was doing, because that way I could continue to either increase the gap if I was already better than them, close it if they were better than me, or start to create a gap if we were equal. But I didn't want to do the same stuff as everybody else. That's why when I was playing, I didn't really like working out with other players. I didn't want to be in this cohort of players. We all come work out together every day at this time, because that means my improvement is going at the same rate as their improvement. I want to improve more than they improved, not at the same pace. I want to do more than they were doing. So question for you is, what are you doing that puts you above and beyond the way everybody else is living their lives and doing their work and running their businesses? Now, of course, you don't know the details of what everybody else is doing, but you can pretty much surmise, look around what the average person is doing. Is that what your life looks like? Or are you going above and beyond? Are you doing more than most people do? And understand something. If you're doing more than most people do, you're going to come across people, your customers, your clients, your colleagues, the people you do business with, and they're going to say, wow, Mike, wow, Lisa, you're doing something that most other people who come to us offering the same thing, they didn't do that. You did extra. You went an extra step. You did something I haven't seen anybody else do. That's what the kind of responses you want to be getting. Those are the kind of responses you want to be getting from people. I don't see anybody else come here as often as you do. I don't see anyone as being as consistent as you are. I don't see anyone else putting in the work the way that you're putting in the work. People will start to tell you that when you're doing it. If you're actually doing it, people will tell you that. They will notice it. They will see it. And if you're not doing it, nobody's telling you that. Well, that should tell you something. So what are you doing to separate yourself from the crowd? Again, look around. It's usually pretty obvious what the crowd is doing. What are you doing that the crowd's not doing? Moving on to point number 3. We're talking here today that happiness is not the goal. Number 3, it is completely fine if you wish to prioritize happiness. All right, just understand that you're sacrificing performance and results in the process of prioritizing happiness. You cannot have it all at once in life. Everything has a trade-off. There are no perfect scenarios. So as the saying goes, every minute in which you are not preparing to succeed, your competition is preparing to defeat you. That gets said a lot in sports. It gets said a lot in business, especially in the startup world. Every minute that we're not working on making this thing better, one of our competitors is working on making their thing better, and they're going to beat us to market, and they're going to blow us out the water, and we'll be out of business. All right, this cliche is used as a motivational ploy. This whole cliche of every minute you're not working, your competition is working, is used as a motivational ploy. It doesn't mean it's not true. It's a cliche, but many cliches are based in truth. Every person who I've heard talk about motivation, high performance, and achieving high levels of success, and I've heard a lot of them, they mention this in their own way. But the principles all end up in the same place. We all end up in the same place, that if you're going to be a high level performer, you're going to have to do some things that everybody else ain't doing. There are no exceptions to that. No matter how they language it, no matter what the story is that goes around it, we all end up in the same place. Why? Because this is based in reality. It's based in the truth of how things work. To be a high level performer, it is uncomfortable, it is difficult, it is challenging, it is demanding, it is extracting, and you are not allowed to jump off the treadmill if you want to continue producing. That's a big if. If you want to keep producing, you got to keep running. That's the way it works. Now, some of you may be thinking, well, what about when people talk about scaling and offloading and delegating and passing tasks on to other people? The reason that people scale and delegate and offload and pass tasks on to other people is not so they can work less. It's just so they can work more on the things that matter and less on the things that they don't need to be doing. It's not so they can do less work. They just put more time into higher level work. They take the same amount of time they've been working. They just change what they're working on. But the amount of work does not go away. It's just a matter of where is that work going? Where's that effort going? And how is it being applied? That's the only thing that changes when you start to build up and you start to get people around you. You get a team and you get staff and employees and all of that. You don't stop working. Again, you just change what you work on. But the work doesn't get less. That's the game that you're signing up for, folks. If this is what you want to be, this is what you're signing up for. If you choose to accept this mission. And a key word there is choose. This is a choice. You don't have to live like this. I'm not telling any of you that you have to do this. I'm just letting you know that if you want to be a high level performer, these are the requirements of the game. So you get to choose. Let's recap today's class, which is happiness is not the goal. I'm making this specifically for the males out there. Many of you have been feminizing your thinking to think that you should be aiming for the same thing that women aim for. You're not a woman. And I'm explaining to you that your goal is not happiness the way many females talk about being happy. They can try to be happy. You're not a woman, so you shouldn't be trying to be happy. Instead, point number one, too many of you these days are focusing on happiness, which is often linked with comfort and ease of action. That's not the game that you're in. If you have made this link, perish this thought. If you're an ambitious person, they do not go together. You have to pick one. There are no perfect scenarios in life. There are only trade-offs. You want to be a high performer who produces high-level results. Most of the time, you're not going to feel quote-unquote happy. What you're going to feel is stressed, pushed, extracted, demanded of. This is what it is. This is the game that you're in. If you want to be a high-level person and get the big piece of chicken at the dinner table, this is what you got to do. Point number two, this is a performance and results-based business. This is not a happiness and good feeling-based business. I want to make clear, and I'm talking to the high-level performers out there, those of you who are highly ambitious, you cannot have happiness and high performance at the same time, not the type of happiness that most people are referring to. You can be happy, but you're not going to have happiness. All right, the world that we operate in here is a world of high performance, consistency, and producing results. You can't relax if that is your job because it's all the time. All right, there's no off switch to this. And point number three, it is fine if you wish to prioritize happiness and good feelings and ease and comfort. Just understand that you must sacrifice performance and results in order to achieve that. If that's what you want to do, go ahead and do it. This ain't the world for you, but if you want to keep listening to the show, you're welcome to do so. But all that said, folks, make sure you text me so you're in my text community. My number's down below in the description. Work on your game university. If you're a high level performer and you're okay with trading a little bit of happiness and ease and discomfort for high level performance, go to workonyourgameuniversity.com. Work on your game. Dre, all